In the eternal music of life, songs of defeat and victory are very often then not sung. Taking a cue from that truth, and as promised yesterday, I bring to you today my list of the five most successful personalities or events of the year. If we are critical of those that let us down, equally it is true that we must be appreciative of those who uplift us with their deeds and inspiring work. And that is why we have these Achievers roll call. And it is all happening here on the CAA show, which, if you have not watched so far, then you can do so by pressing the big red subscriber button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. The biggest achiever of 2022 in India is the Indian voter. No question about that. The Indian voter is on the top of my list because if theoretically the Indian voter was in a conversation with all those who compile democracy indexes and consistently downgrade and demean Indian democratic processes, heritage, and culture, then the Indian voter probably would tell them to go jump a lake. Or better still, the Indian voter would tell these doubting Thomases to get off their butt from their fancy offices in Stockholm or other Western capitals and visit India in person and see how the wheel of democracy turns in this country. And believe me, it is an exhilarating sight. From the techie, hardwired intellectually with the latest processes and trends in the world to the wizened old illiterate farmer, they all turn up to get some ink smudged on their index finger and exercise their electoral right. And what a message they end up delivering. The messaging is profound, subtle, and cautionary. Take the example of the recent assembly elections. They rewarded those who had worked consistently for their benefit, as was the case in the Gujarat elections. They showed the door to the Aam Aadmi Party that thought it could bribe them and win their votes with freebie promises by the prime ministerial pretender of this country, Arvind Kejriwal. They bet again on the BJP not because of emotive issues that the prime minister is a Gujarati, but simply because real work had been done on the ground and Gujarat has transformed in one of the most prosperous states in the country. In Himachal Pradesh, they delivered a stinging message to AAP that they don't trust a party that goes around the country trying to bribe voters of their vote with freebie promises. And in the same state, they voted out BJP to convey the message that last minute change of guard and contrition for broken promises is not good enough. And in Delhi, voters voted for AAP not to inflate their supremos, that is, AAP supremos' prime ministerial ambitions, but to get him to simply remove the mountain of garbage at Delhi's outskirts. Look at the complex, many-layered, stern, and yet pragmatic response of the Indian voter. And Western analysts and dons in elite universities in the West and biased media scribes again in Western quarters have the temerity to question India's democracy. My response to them is that why don't you first fix your January 6th Capitol Hill attack in America and stop serenading Zelensky, who has banned all opposition parties in Ukraine, before lecturing us on what a vibrant democracy is all about. A highly effective Indian foreign policy in 2022 and our Foreign Minister Jaishankar, and it is hard to separate the two, come a close second in this glittering list. Our foreign policy showed real teeth and spine in a time of crisis when we had to pull out our students from war-torn Ukraine. And then later, when the entire Western Bloc brought intense pressure on India to sever ties with Russia, stop energy imports from that country, and in effect, walk across to the Western camp. And to buttress that pressure, media scribes and networks, both abroad and very much here, joined in the chorus. But India stuck to its guns and unveiled a policy of strategic autonomy, which simplified means that India would take decisions in tune with its own national interests and there would not be any other consideration. All hell broke loose. And as international voices against India became more belligerent, some even holding out subtle threats, India hunkered down even more, refusing to budge or accommodate Western interests. And Jaishankar was the man who fashioned a response, and what a response it was. Who can forget his stinging response to a question posed by a Western scribe that Europe buys more Russian oil in an afternoon than India does in a month? Jaishankar, in a sense, unveiled to the world his vision of Pax Indica, that India had arrived on the world stage and it would march only to its own drumbeat. For the first ever time, our foreign policy was not defensive but was clear headed, uncompromising, looking after its national interests but compassionate at the same time. And just for that, Jaishankar was and is the man of the moment. But the best lieutenants can only take the battle to the enemy camp if their captain inspires them with clear-headed, able and inspiring leadership. And Modi is the man who not only inspired Jaishankar, but the entire cabinet for a stellar run in 2022. Despite all the distractions of the hijab controversy, social unrest, so-called Hindutva, Western criticism of a clampdown of free speech and the spectre of Hindu-Muslim conflict rising at regular intervals, Modi, the man, and the Prime Minister delivered the goods. India became not only the fifth largest economy in the world, but it also skirted both high inflation and recession to become the only bright spot in the world to show more than 6% annual economic growth. And the other story which somehow never receives enough attention was a phenomenal upsurge in infrastructure and welfare projects all over the country that lifted millions from straitjacketed poverty. Modi exhibited remarkable leadership in achieving these milestones with foresight, tenacity, and determination. He proved the thesis wrong that the BJP could never wrap its head around economic matters and development, and its core strength lay only in propagating Hindutva. Modi, like a colossus, straddled the world stage, always the first to be invited to the world high table, and at the same time guided his country post-COVID to a rosy economic future. His critics, of course, and they are a legion, scoff at his achievements and fall back upon cliches and criticism of the man and his track record, and with each passing day, this criticism appears jaded, manufactured, contrived, and almost neurotic. In the world of entertainment, 2022, it was the year of the South Indian film, and with good reason. Hindi belt audiences added to the South Indian film audiences' kitty in large numbers. Now, there could be 100 reasons why Hindi belt audiences and to some extent deserted the Khans and Akshay Kumar and rooted for RRR and other South-made blockbuster films. But to me, the reason is very clear. South cinema appeared fresh, vivacious, robust. The production values were unmatched. Very effective dubbing helped, and millions watched these films on their cell phones. These were contributing factors. But what really brought Hindi cinema down and eyeballs turned to South cinema was that Hindi cinema appeared geriatric, short of ideas, lackluster, unimaginative. And what else would you expect? Caught, as it were, by Hindi cinema's woke expressionism and political discourse entering film creativity and badly affecting it. And that is why not only the Khans flopped, But even the supposedly ultimate right wing hero, Akshay Kumar, also came a cropper. When the divide is vertical, then both sides, that is on the left and the right, pay a price. And finally, the real surprise at number 5, success of the year, is Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra. Give it to the man or the woman or the think tank or whoever else conceived of the idea. The Yatra, in more senses than one, has been a success. In fact, I would not call it a runaway success, but a walkaway success. Any project that binds the country together and executed with passion and energy has a good chance of succeeding. And RG, with his t-shirt and wild beard and his entire new get-up, well, he fitted the part. It would have been a greater success if Rahul Gandhi had let go of his ultra-left obsessions and constant ranting about Hindu-Muslim divide and adopted a more centrist position. But in a strange way, the Yatra has posed a warning to the BJP. Now, Modi is an exceptional leader, but where is a younger second line of leadership? The Yatra has shown that the energy of the young in any endeavor cannot be matched. There are certainly many young, capable leaders in the BJP, but whether by design or circumstance, they operate well below the radar. There is need to change their profile and develop a second line of leadership that is visible and energetic. So, in a nutshell, the country, despite several internal and international challenges, is in a good shape and in a good place. Can't help but to end this podcast with the addictive theme song of RRR Natu Natu Mein Nachure ringing in my ears. And on this note, it's Happy New Year to everyone and stay blessed.